Hello, I want to do a quick demonstration of reclassifying our Salt Lake City 10-meter National Elevation Dataset, DEM, into two classes so that we can get the low elevations and the high elevations and actually quantify the area. So search for the Reclassify tool, Spatial Analyst version, and we're going to input that Salt DEM, not the slope, but the regular DEM. It automatically populates the value field for rasters, and that works for us. Like I said, it usually defaults to these 9 for some reason, but if we go in and force the classification, we get this error message about the unique values can't be obtained. It's using values from the dialog. That's fine. I just hit OK and it proceeds. We want to make this 2 classes, and then take this lower value and make that 2500, which it's close to anyway. But it's going to just reset this this first break at 2500. You could also take this and manually move it around and try and dial it into 2500, but it's much easier to just overwrite this value here. And hit OK, hit OK. Now we've got our 2 classes with the lowest value up to 2500 is going to be assigned the value of 1. So every single raster cell that has a lower elevation value in it than 2500 will be reassigned the value of 1. And anything above 2500 will equal 2. Now, if you're going to ask me, how does this break happen? I don't know. I have read about this, I've looked into it to a certain extent, and I've never pursued this to the point where I actually know how ARC treats this. I just roll with it, and I tell myself it's within the uncertainty that's going to be present in the data anyway. So that's how I justify that. Anyway, so our higher elevations are going to be assigned 2. We could get really clever, and later labs we're going to assign this to no data. It does have to be written exactly like this, 2 capitals, no space. That would make all our higher elevations going away, and our resulting table would just have 1 record in it, values of 1, and it would give us a count. How many cells are there in our raster that are less than 1? But just for kicks, so we can compare them, we'll leave 2 classes in here. I'm going to go ahead and let it sit in the default geodatabase, but I would recommend that you put this in an appropriate place and call it, you know, low elevations or LT 2500 DEM or something like that. There we go. And close that, and that's what we get. So I haven't clipped this yet in the instructions. You guys probably have already clipped this, and so you'll just have the areas inside here. But if we go in and look at the attribute table, you'll see we have values of 1, so these are our low elevations, and there are 753,282, but remember that's for the whole DEM. That's not just inside our watershed. So I'd have to reclip this and then recalculate these. Yeah, let's see here. That's basically what that boils down to. What I would recommend doing too is clipping this and getting new counts in here, and then one way to test your work would be to add these 2 counts together and multiply through for the area, and then compare it to the area of the watershed, which you can calculate just by let's see here, open attribute table. Let me shrink this down a little bit. We can add an area field. You could compare it to this if you wanted to, but we don't know what the units are on this, even though they should be the default units of the map. I would say add a field because it doesn't take long. Call it area. In, you could say meters, something like that. Make it a float just out of habit, and then calculate the geometry that way. Area, correct coordinate system, correct units. Okay. Now again, these numbers are for the watershed itself. This is the watershed area in square meters. But in order to make these 2 areas match, you're going to have to clip it one more time. So don't use the values that you can actually see here, because that's too many. Okay, that's the count. You need to multiply through by the cell area, which again is here. So you'd multiply 9.3274837 by itself to get the area of each cell. Multiply that cell area by the count, and that will give you the area of the watershed, or the area of the low elevations. Okay, that's it. Questions, let me know.